So welcome to the show once again, GazMaz from the mighty MyMac podcast. How are you, sir?
I am spon-rific, Karl.
Sponny.
Absolutely spon-rific, and looking forward to our next shutdown. And you know, we're in a 3 region. That's what's going to happen to us. So
we're at 2. We're at 2 in London, which is still a bit rubbish, but.
Yeah, 2's still pretty rubbish. 3's even worse.
We all need to go to Isle of Wight, I think, for a festival or something. I don't know.
Yeah. 60 million on the Isle of Wight. That'd do it, wouldn't it?
It would sink, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe. At least the pubs will be open there. You may have 6 people though, but the hell.
I'm good.
We're in tier 2, and you're allowed to go to a pub and drink alcohol as long as you have a substantial meal.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a good cartoon doing the rounds on Twitter today where a bloke walked in and asks for 1 carvery, 12 pints and 24 shots, please.
Now, that's a plan. I like that. I was going to say...
I've seen people naming their beer substantial meal.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say a packet of crisps is a substantial meal for me when I go out, but, because it's mainly about the booze.
Yeah.
But
nobody's seen the size of the packets of crisps that you buy.
Well, this is true.
Well, they're not as big as the old days, are they?
I thought it was just me growing. Oh, well, okay. Oh, dear. Anyway, so I did. I went and did it. I went and bought myself a MacBook Air M1 on Tuesday. And I was getting scared because I was looking at the day before, Sunday and Monday, and it was saying sold out. But then I noticed every morning they get fresh stock in, all the stores in London. And so it appeared about 9 o'clock. I bought one, reserved it, even though we only meant to do essential travel. But I'm going to say Apple was tempting me because I consider that essential.
Well, it was essential, is it? It was essential for you.
That's it. So, you don't. And they were saying that down in Stratford, they've got express pickup, which they email you and tell you got to go to this other store, which is the floor below the Apple store at Stratford. And you got to go and wait at a certain time, a 15-minute window. So obviously I got there 10 minutes early because I can't plan things properly. And you go in, and it's so dystopian. You go into this little shop with a glass frontage and this wall of plexiglass where they also meant to have items that they want to show off, but they're all empty, and there's just 3 windows with 3 people sitting there rather glumly, like they're at a bank, and you just have to go in, queue up for a little while, maybe if there's more than 1 or 2 of you, go in. The guy at the store makes you clean your hands, make sure you got a mask and everything, which everyone did have, and then you sort of present yourself with you get your phone or your wrist scanned or whatever, show them the printout. They take some ID and then they wander off to the back and then they return with your your goods. You put it in your bag and you naff off. And that was it. It was the most underwhelming shopping experience I've ever had in my life. It was so stark. It was horrible.
It's like the bad old days of communist Russia, isn't it? Where there's nothing on the shelves.
Exactly.
You go in and hope to be given something from under the counter.
Yeah. You didn't care what.
No, that's it. Just give me some food.
Go in and show them your ration book.
That's
yes, you can have 1 MacBook Air.
But I did get it home. Obviously, coming from Stratford,
I bet because it's so fast, it got home before you did.
It might well have done. I mean, I'll tell you what, I was holding on to that bag for dear life, right? Because I'm going through Stratford. It's not the most wonderful places, I got to say. But I had one of those wonderful things where I walked down on the platform, my train was sitting there, and just as I walked through the doors shut, I sat down and off it went. Oh, I couldn't have timed that one better. That was awesome. But then it was still
what's the spec and colour then, Karl?
Oh, well, I went for my first space grey, but the rest of it is the most basic one you can get, the MacBook Air, the 8 gig, the 256 storage space. And it's, the last laptop I bought was that MacBook Pro back in 2013. So, I always consider that quite slick, still looking at it. But this thing is it's so much lighter, it's so much slicker, the keyboard's lovely. I'm glad I waited long enough to get rid of that, the butterfly keyboard or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's gone. The screen looks amazing, the colours pop from the screen compared to what I was used to previously. The reds are so red; it's so vibrant, and,
the reds are so red. Oh.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I noticed. The first thing, someone was like, I was watching a show or something, and someone had a red coat on. I thought, bloody hell, that's really like sharp and bright and wonderful. So it looks fantastic. And then, of course, I went through the hassle of putting all my stuff back onto the new machine because I like to do it from a fresh start. Had a massive amount of trouble with Google Mail and Apple Mail working together. There's something there. Someone's changed something somewhere, and because I've basically got two-factor security on both those accounts, and they do not want to work well together. I mean, I eventually did it, but I have no idea how I did it. I think I went to the Google.
You was just throwing stuff at it. It's now working.
I went to. I think the thing that clicked it is I went to my Google privacy stuff and into the settings, and I took permission away from my Mac accessing Google Mail, my Google account, and then I went back in and reauthorized it, and that seemed to work for some reason. But even now and again, it's still saying, "Hey, you need to enter your Google password," and I don't. Nothing needs it.
Yeah, I still get that though with normal mail on an Intel Mac, on an old Intel Mac guy. Sorry, Karl.
Dare you, sir?
Hey, calm down.
But so apart from that one little issue, it was all fine. I set up Apple Pay. I set up Touch ID on a laptop or on a machine that I've never had before. So and now I'm in risk of forgetting all my passwords because it's so easy. Just put my finger on the corner there and get into whatever. The fact that I was having to enter my passwords on my machine, was what was keeping them fresh in my head. Now I've got a horrible thought that I'm going to forget my Apple password and my One password as well.
Yeah. The Safari keychain plus the Touch ID button is all you need, really, isn't it? You actually don't even need to know your passwords ever again.
It's true. Yeah, I know. But you are at some point, because at some point you're going to change machines and you're going to have to enter in a password in again.
There's always somewhere down the line where you need to do something quickly, and you're going scratching your head and thinking, "No, how?"
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wish Apple would put a decent. Go on.
I was just going to say, did it do the bit when you signed into iCloud where it says enter the password for one of your other Macs or your iPad or your iPhone?
Yeah, I get that. I get all that. So I'm used to that now. But it's still it's the One password one. I'm really frightened of forgetting. Really,
yeah.
Because a lot of the other ones I've got various ways of getting that information back. But
write it down on a bit of paper.
Yeah, I should, and stick it on a post-it note on the bottom of my screen. That'd be perfect.
But put on the top One password so you don't forget.
Exactly.
Sorted.
But that was the practicalities of getting it all together and set up again, and then it came to using it. What a place! No, no, it's a fantastic machine. Oh my god, I can't believe this is the bottom of the range. I mean, I got the lowest one I could possibly get, and it still flies. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos before when I bought it and stuff. People using Photoshop and Final Cut Pro and all kinds of things like that. I got to admit, for me personally, Final Cut Pro 2021, I think we're up to now, isn't as buttery smooth as what they're showing on YouTube. For me, it's a bit of a stutter there. I'm not sure why. But then I downloaded the beta version from Adobe that is taking advantage of the M1, and that's butter. I mean, it's not fully spec'd out as the full, as the non-beta version, obviously. But my God, it's fast. It's so fast. You play changes, bing, they're instantaneous. And it's like I tried to download some of the biggest images I could find online. Like there was pictures of the Apple's head office and stuff like this, and I was changing the colours and doing, selective changes here and there, and it was just keeping up all the way along. I mean, I wish I was a proper photographer so I could give it a proper challenge, but I mean, it's pretty hard for it to even visit anyone at the moment to try that. But then I, put on Final Cut Pro, and it handled all my imports and LUTs and stuff like this, and exported just as fast, really fast, and didn't skip a beat. It's fantastic. I've played some games. I loaded up some Apple Arcade games. Of course, they run pretty well on it. Well, the ones I played anyway, mainly Speed Demons. And then I just put on things like I was playing Stadia on it. I know it's for a browser, but the games looked fantastic. I can finally watch 4K video from YouTube on the darn thing. I couldn't do that on my old one for some reason. And it's just, I love it. I love it. I've been using it non-stop. And of course, using it non-stop, the battery life is astounding. Astounding. Yeah. I was doing a whole load of prep for the show the other day, and I started off 100%, and I went through my newsreader thing. There was like 250 stories, which I quickly passed through and just selected ones I might want to talk about. I did all that. I set up the document. I sent the invites out to you guys. Well, I don't have to actually do that bit anymore, but I did all the process, and then I went on Photoshop and I quickly designed the logo, the cover art and stuff like this. And then when I finished all that, it was still 100%.
I think that's almost what people are getting as a secondary benefit. They're suddenly realizing after they've done all this stuff and tried it, and they're going, "Oh, and the battery life is just amazing." And and I think it's because the power that it's not using as much power, is it? The energy that it's requiring is a lot less. So that means that it can, which actually, when you think of it, the side benefit to that is it's not going to be running the batteries up and down as often, which means you should get a better battery life.
Yeah, there'll be
overall.
real low cycle counts on them, won't there?
Yeah.
Well, I actually think it's the primary benefit. I wouldn't call it a secondary benefit.
Yeah.
I think that is the
No, I
biggest
agree. Yeah.
thing, yeah. Because, I mean, the performance differences are measurable, but in the real world, who cares really? Because I saw a benchmark that made me laugh yesterday. It was Pixelmator with its ability to upscale the resolution of a photo from bad to super high res. And they were saying, like, on an old, on this year's Intel machine, it takes 2.5 seconds on this test image to do it. Whereas on the MacBook Air, the new M1 MacBook Air, it takes half a second. Who cares? 2.5 seconds to half a second. Yeah, but the big difference is the MacBook Air doesn't take any battery while it does it, whereas the old Intel ones are probably taking 10% to do that. So that is the primary benefit, I think, of these machines. That's the one I'm envious of, anyway.
I think the genius is that they've put it in the old case. So people are used to looking at this machine and having it behave in a certain way. But it's the same looking machine, but it's behaving in a completely different way, and that seems to be what's blowing people's minds.
Yeah. It's got angry inside, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. I'll tell you what. The only downside, and it is it's a small downside, but I came from a MacBook Pro 2013 that had MagSafe on it. And that is one thing I do miss. I do understand now why people were getting so upset when they had to plug in a USB-C, because it's in there quite tight. And I'm thinking, oh God, I hope this don't pull off from my bed or anything like that.
So what somebody needs to come up with is a plug safe. So do it at the other end.
yeah.
You can you get these adapters though that do it? I don't know whether they'd fit on these at the moment, but I have seen in the past that you can get some MagSafe adapters where.
Yeah, I think Belkin do one. I think from USB-C to MagSafe and then back to your plug.
Yeah,
yeah, it is a wonderful machine, and like I say, it's I got it under £1,000 by £1. But
have you tried running any iPhone apps or anything on it yet, Karl?
No, because I did. Like Dean shared. He's not with us today. Obviously, you might have noticed, although he does keep quiet when he's here sometimes. So it's no. Dean did share. There was something using Apple Authenticator 2. Anyone remember? Dean said. I'm sure it's Apple.
Well, you can download the IPA files for the apps, can't you, and manually put them on?
Yeah, but I'm sure he was using Apple Authenticator for that. I'm pretty sure.
You might have to re-sign them or something for that machine, something like that. But iTunes used to collect all the IPAs, didn't it, for all your App Store downloads? Yeah. I think I've probably got hundreds of them on one of my backup drives somewhere, and apparently you can just lift them off. Maybe you have to re-sign them, I'm not sure. But you can force them onto your new M1 Mac and they will run.
No, I haven't tried that
Even if the developer says he doesn't want to allow them on M1 Macs.
Yeah.
Well, what's he got to do with them?
Well, they don't want to spoil the experience, Karl.
No, obviously that's the thing. Mind you, it is because it's touch, isn't it? So you got to use your mouse, and it's not the same.
Yeah,
until they adapt it. So fair enough.
Apple haven't really blown their trumpets about that particular capability of M1 Max, have they? Because they know it's a bit half baked, really. I think the apps that do run a little bit more awkwardly with the trackpad, and but you don't really need it, do you? It's a gimmick almost, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. I've heard some reports about some weird like window positioning and stuff like that as well. Where when you launch an app, it comes in one orientation, and I think there's something in the menu where you can change the orientation as if you're, turning your iPhone landscape. And that seemed to sort it out for them, but you had to do it every time you launched the app because the default was in portrait mode.
And is it one of those positions where you're having to, put your head sideways and try and work out which direction your hand's going to get to the menu?
But
it'd be bad if the menu rotated with the app.
Did you see that video this week of an astronaut taking a photo from space, taking a photo of the Earth from the ISS? I think it was on an iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro or something. But up there, the accelerometers and the, what do you call it? What the hell's it called?
Stabilization.
The gyroscope. They don't work reliably up in space. Well, the software doesn't expect them to behave that way. And he was trying to shoot this video, trying to get it into landscape, where like all video should be in landscape, shouldn't it? But try as he might, he couldn't get it to do it.
What a flat earther's going to say about that? Oh, they're faking it. They're faking that no gravity thing. Oh well. Anyway, but I'm not currently looking to put any of my iPad apps on the Mac itself because I'm so enthralled with what I can do as is, and I keep having to remind myself this is the most basic. Well, up until recently, it would have been considered the most basic lame Mac out there. Only good for browsing the web and doing emails and stuff like this, and it could do everything.
Then I've set themselves up, haven't they, for the next ones when they come out with some of the the higher end stuff. People are going to have so much. People are going to be expecting the work to be done before they've done it. Before they've started it. I mean, it's just going to be the expectations of the higher end Macs when they do bring them out. Is going to be and if they bring new iMac, well, they will bring new iMacs out and Mac Pro. I mean, the people they're going to say, so how many of these chips have they got in there?
Yes. So
it's got 32, but we've still only got 16 gig of RAM.
You got to imagine they got these things in the labs already, in Mac Pros and iMacs. But it does make you wonder whether they're going to have a different processor, like an M1. I've heard various different names bandied around, M1T, M1X.
Yeah.
Although I can't see them going with X. I think X is done. Now that Big Sur's out, but I thought maybe M1 Pro they might go for, or I think I mentioned before that they might stack them and go for multiple M1s, so that
I think that's a good shout, because I mean, in recent years everything's been sort of single processor but multi-core, isn't it? It's all been about how many cores can you fit onto your processor. But I mean, in the old days, before we all knew about cores, it used to be multi-processors, didn't it? That was the design language back then. So maybe they're going to resurrect that.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see, whatever we see, they're going to want to try and keep the heat process down, aren't they? Because that's what is giving it such a big advantage. The fact that you haven't got fans on there. Did you get the Air? Did you say?
Yeah,
Karl?
no fan in there.
Right, so there's no fan in that one, is there? There's the fan in the MacBook, isn't there? But and the Mac Mini. But people are saying you can hardly hear it. It doesn't come on that often. So have you seen an open up? Someone opened up and had a look inside a Mac Mini. There's nothing in there. It's mostly empty.
There wasn't much in the old ones, to be fair.
No.
Since they moved, more or less everything onto the logic board. I think the Intel ones have still got replaceable RAM, but obviously this doesn't even have that. So
it's not that easy, is it, to replace the RAM on the?
In the Mac Mini, no, it's quite complicated. Yeah,
it used to be a bit easier because they used to have the twisty. Well, I know they had the twisty plastic cover at the back, didn't they? Because I'm selling some Macs, but we'll get onto that. So
we'll get into that. Get that now, guys. So have you been tempted with these M1s? I know your erstwhile co-podcaster has gone and purchased a Mac Mini.
Guy's been and got one, and he's been surprisingly quiet on it so far. But it's probably because he's playing to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the call with him this weekend to see how he's getting on. But I'm as soon as they come out, I was sorely tempted. I'm a bit of a fan of the Mac Mini, to be honest with you. I mean, it's what got me into Apple and Macs anyway when I first started back in 2007, 2008. And I had one of the old, what was the processor before Intel? Power PC. I had a G5. I can't remember what it was now, but it was a Mac Mini, one of the taller ones, the quite thick ones. And I loved it. I loved that machine. And then I had Mac Minis right up until I bought a stolen iMac some many years ago, and we might talk about that as well because I know that you mentioned it last week. The M1 event that went on.
Heist.
The heist.
Why have you got details?
Yeah, just be careful, folks.
It's up your way.
Sorry,
it's up your way.
It is. I'm not.
Have you got an alibi?
I'm tapping my nose. Yeah, I've got an alibi. I'm in tier 3. I couldn't come out into that. Yeah, so be careful, folks, if you're buying a Mac in the next few weeks, and it seems to be an absolutely fabulous price because they'll get away with the money, and you'll have nothing to come back on. Anyway, so I'm really excited about getting the Mac Mini because I've got an iMac at the moment, and the more I think about it, the more this iMac sits here and you can't do anything with it. And my Mac Minis, I'm always moving them around the house or picking them up and taking them somewhere. And I can be fairly adaptable in having a separate screen. And you can add accessories to the Mac Mini. And certainly I don't want to spend the sort of money that I'd need to get to an equivalent setup that I've got now with the iMac in terms of hard drive. And £800 extra on a Mac Mini then starts to make it a little bit of an expensive machine. So I was looking around, and I've actually sent Karl a link to an item from AGP Tech, which is a dock, and it's a USB-C dock. But the good thing about this dock is it's actually got a drive, an SSD hard drive, HDD slot, which you can put buy your own SSD and pop it in, and then you've got the sort of capability and hard drive space available, sort of equivalent to what I've got now with the iMac. Wow. So I'm really kind of going, yeah. So that process of getting to that point, because yes, okay, I'm in quite a lucky position that I can think about doing this. But actually, I've got 2 old Mac Minis sitting around. One which was a 2010, mid 2010, which I've been using as my server, media server, which is kind of disappearing now. I'm kind of putting the iMac onto that duty, and one which was my main Mac, which was a July 2011 Mac Mini, and I'd beef that up. I'd put an extra hard drive in there, so I put in a 1 terabyte SSD, and then I think I got an adapter kit or something, and I was able to put a secondary hard drive in there, which was a 750 gigabyte drive, which I'd had. So I'm basically selling those on eBay to partially fund for this Mac Mini, and I don't care. I just want one, Karl. I just want one. I don't care, and I'm going to get all the accessories with it. It's just, it's funny because I think this has put so much excitement back into the Mac from all areas. I'm really quite enthused, to be honest with you.
That link you shared, I got distracted because under that item, that fantastic it's like a little platform that sits underneath the Mac Mini, and it's got all the ports that you can just expand. So this is the same size as the Mac Mini. So it and I've had one of these before. I had one with one of my older Mac Minis, which was I can't remember which company it was, but it basically expands the amount of ports that you've got. Now the current Mac Mini, or the new Mac Mini, the M1, has got 2 USB-As and a couple of USB-Cs. I think that's right. Mm-hmm. Well, this obviously takes up one of the spaces for the USB-C, but it gives you so you do lose one of the USB-Cs, but you get some USB 3s at the front and a couple more USB 2s. No, you get 4 USB 3s, I think, at the front. So at the moment, I think USB 3s are still pretty ubiquitous. Most people have got things which plug into those. So I think that would be quite useful, and still have the extra USB-C port at the back, and I think it's got HDMI. So yeah,
yeah, I think this is really good. And as long as that hard drive, I mean, if it's an SSD, it shouldn't get too hot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So jobs are good.
Jobs are
good. And I actually bought many years ago as well a little Perspex frame which sits over the Mac Mini. So this would sit under that as well, and I could put the screen on top of it. Oh, the setup! I'm so enthused. It's incredible.
It's always nice having those ports moved to the front as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You know, one of the biggest bugbears maybe about using a Mac is like, especially an iMac, is when you go to plug a USB device into the back, you know, and you're changing the angle of the screen and everything, and it's all.
Yeah, you got fingerprints all. You got fingerprints all over it because you're having to adjust it, and also putting an SD card in. This adapter's got a micro SD and an SD port on it as well. Because trying to put that into the back of the iMac as well is a real pain. I mean, I've got used to where it goes now, so I can slot it in, but it's not ideal. I get why they do it. I do really get why they do it, because most of the time you're not looking at them. You don't want to look at them, but. It is
actually of all the ports they've removed from the laptops. I think people mourn the SD slot more than any other.
Yeah. It was just so handy, wasn't it?
Sorry,
there's so many devices that still use SD cards. You know, it's not just cameras. It's all sorts, isn't it?
I've literally just got a message come through from PayPal. You need to accept our new terms and conditions to avoid suspension. Please visit https:/user-terms0189.com. That's not dodgy at all, is it?
I normally go and sign into those with some dodgy sign-in process.
Oh, right, yeah,
you know.
could do that. Bit of fun. But what I was saying there, Gaz, on that link you shared, there's a section below that says what other people bought while looking at this. And what I got, there's a silicon case cover for the Mac Mini. So if you like to put in all your Apple devices in silicon cases, there's also one for the Mac Mini.
Someone's bought a silicon case to put a Mac. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's only £25 as well. My God, my God. So when do you think you'll be opening up the wallet and taking?
Well, I'm not in a rush, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, yes, ideally I'd like it tomorrow, but that ain't going to happen. So I'm going to wait and see how much I get for these other Mac Minis, and that will probably determine the speed of purchase, to be perfectly frank with you. I mean, we're coming up to Christmas as well. Not that anybody's spending anything, because we can't go anywhere to spend anything. Although sitting at home online can be quite expensive. So I've kind of got money earmarked for it, but I'm just going to hang fire a little bit. I am hearing a little bit of concern over the Bluetooth. One or two people are complaining, certainly on the Mac Mini. I don't know whether I shouldn't think it's so much of a problem on the MacBooks, because obviously you don't need a separate Bluetooth device, certainly a mouse to use it. But one or two people have complained about a Bluetooth issue. However, having said that, sometimes I have a similar delay and sluggishness with my mouse on my iMac. So I think it might be a little bit software related and the way Apple possibly implements the procedure. I don't know. But I've certainly seen a couple of people moaning about the Mac Mini and the Bluetooth connection.
So on those Mac Minis, Gaz, do you run Windows on any of them?
I tried it once, and then, I spotted the error of my ways.
Well, it's funny that because Steve's writing on here, running Windows on Macs. Does anybody still do this? that's So I don't know, Steve. I don't personally. I've never felt compunction to, but I'm sure some people still do. So why are you saying that, sir?
Well, the reason it's come up is obviously there's some discussion of it around the M1 Macs, because they're not Intel based anymore. So boot camp is no longer an option. And I still do actually have a copy of Windows on my MacBook Pro for work. But I was thinking the other day about when the last time was I actually booted into it to do anything. And it used to be handy, because there's always the odd application that you have to run on Windows. We do some work with CCTV, and 95% of that requires a Windows browser with ActiveX, no less. to set it up and do anything meaningful. Once it's all set up and whatever, you can access the cameras and whatever from the Mac. But the initial setup and admin tends to want to be done through a Windows browser. I think I've only booted it up into Windows probably 2 or 3 times in the last year. I mentioned to my boss the other day that my old MacBook Pro that I'm on at the moment I can't upgrade it to Big Sur. It's one iteration behind, too old. And he said, "Oh, you'll have to get yourself one of these M1 Macs." And I said, "Well, I won't be able to run Windows." And that's kind of what made me start thinking, do I really need it anymore?
So
I've seen your workshop. There's loads of Macs there running that potentially could run Windows.
In our office, yeah.
Yeah, I've got an old Mac Mini you could buy.
There you go.
Yeah. It's not so handy when I'm out on site, though.
True. That is true.
I've got a MacBook Pro 13-inch, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
So, have a think about that. I think you've got a couple yourself.
I think there used to be some relevance to it, though, didn't there? Because you're right, there were 1 or 2 applications, and there were some processes where being able to, log into or have Windows running either on a separate machine or going up into Boot Camp on your Mac, it was really useful. But now, the only time I need Windows is at work. But and so many Microsoft apps. Because that's where a lot of people they used to have to do it because there was mainly, but 365 now, and the interaction with Microsoft applications and the Mac it's not a problem. And I think Apple have said it's up to Microsoft if they want to create a version to be able to run Windows on the M1s, haven't they?
Yeah, because they have got an ARM version of Windows. They made it for their own tablets, didn't they? Was it Windows R or something like that?
Might have been. I can't remember.
I suppose that might stand for RISC, the instruction set. But it's certainly doable, and it's whether Microsoft see that as an area that they want to go down. I think it's got to be interesting what's going on in the boardrooms at the moment. You got to wonder what other companies are thinking about Apple releasing this fantastic new processor and the benchmarks that it's getting. They must be thinking we ought to be going in that direction and producing their own system on a chip processors.
Yeah, I guess. It depends on individuals like me. When I moved away from Windows, I was a bit nervous thinking about all the things I wouldn't be able to run anymore. And then after a while, I just thought, whatever. And I just found other ways of getting around doing those kind of things. Obviously, gaming was the main one. But now streaming gaming's coming along. I don't even really miss that much anymore. Obviously, companies that are unwilling to update, for example, our office at work, they're still using a DOS system for flip's sake. That's how out of date they are. But I mean that's where it's difficult to upgrade because if you've had bespoke software written, and you haven't necessarily paid the company to maintain it, or the company doesn't do it anymore, and they've gone out of business, but you're stuck. Your whole company's stuck, still running this a bit of old software, and the poor old IT guy gets tasked with the job of finding a replacement for it. But they're never going to buy a Mac's my place anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, no, but most companies are getting around this by virtualizing their Windows desktops. So this is what a friend of mine does. He works in a bank in the city. Well, he doesn't work in the city anymore. He does it all from home. But they run virtual desktops for everybody. So you can access those from virtually any device. So they can run all the Windows software they like, but it's all running on the server back in the data center. So I think that's probably the way to go if you need Windows software.
And Parallels have said they're working on a version to work with M1.
Yeah, which is going to run. It's going to use the Rosetta as an underpinning, I think, in quite a clever way, in order to emulate Windows, so that the emulation process isn't laborious as it used to be. I remember before Mac switched to Intel, and there was Windows emulation on PowerPC. It was awful, really, really bad. Just unusable. But I think the other thing that's going to drive it forward is the Internet Explorer. The old store is going end of life. So by this time next year, it'll be completely deprecated. And a lot of things that use Internet Explorer and ActiveX controls are going to have to find different ways of doing things. And it's with Microsoft going with Chromium-based Edge, I think, that's the future of web apps and things like that.
Haven't they said that about Internet Explorer about 10 times, though?
Yeah, they seem to really mean it this time.
Oh, really mean it this time.
They're pushing Edge. Right. And actually, I have to say, I think Edge is a really good browser, even on a Mac.
Well, I haven't tried it on the Mac.
No.
It's really good, actually, yeah, especially if you're doing 365 stuff. I use it for all our sort of 365 admin from a Mac because it just feels more Microsofty, even though it's Chromium-based. But, yeah, it supports all the different profiles and whatever, so you can have a different profile for different 365 accounts.
Yeah. Chromium-based without the heaviness that Chrome has become.
Exactly, yeah.
It's an interesting situation that this has now created because you've got Windows with obviously their Intel and, well, AMD, I suppose, to a certain extent. But Intel obviously sticking with Microsoft and Microsoft sticking with Intel moving forward. Although I did hear some rumours that they were looking at doing some ARM stuff, even though they had, as you mentioned, to try that before and it failed miserably. I think when they bought their Surface out, you could buy 2 different versions of it, if I remember correctly. I mean, as like I say, this as the M1's the first iteration of this new chip, this new silicon, and it's only probably, hopefully, going to keep getting better and better and better. And if that really does leave Intel in the dust, like languishing, then maybe Microsoft might start going, well, hang on a minute.
Well, they might not be quite so quick, Karl, because one of the things that I said to Guy in one of the earlier podcasts is the M1 chip is either going to be an absolute flyer and you need to go out and get it straight away, or it's going to be one of those where it's riddled with problems because they're going to put all of their efforts in this to be an absolute screamer. So people go, oh, yes. And then the iterations may not be quite as big as, we're expecting, or we would hope, let's put it that way. So, the competition may go, okay, fine. Yeah, we've got to revisit out where we are positionally, but let's just not jump in too quickly and see what the next ones are and where we have to get to, because they might be thinking they've got to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of where the chip is now, but actually Apple might have really hit it out the park, and it's going to take them a little while to up the game. That's completely out of the top of my head, and I know nothing.
Awesome.
But I certainly think they've hit it out of the park with the early ones.
Of course, the other factor of this is that we sort of gloss over, I don't really mention, is there just a stage where it's just too fast, it doesn't matter anymore? Because, on things like processing or encoding videos, okay, we always want it done quicker and sooner and faster and stuff. But on the whole, like it opens a web page instantly, opens a mail instantly, does all the things I want to do.
I'll be honest with you, I think we've been there for a while for that sort of stuff.
Well, we are definitely on our iOS devices, it seems.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get sort of like diminishing results as we move forward as well, where the things that we do for the most part, it's not even going to matter anymore. It's going to be a thing of the past that that the icon even gets to bounce once before it's launched and stuff like that. So
I suppose it's a similar argument to display resolution, isn't it? Once you get to Retina, once you can't physically see any improvement, is there any point in pushing it forward?
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, and we're approaching that on so many different things, like audio. Audio's, they can already produce audio far better than we can actually hear it, most of us anyway, especially above the age of 20. Like you say, video, I can't, 8K, 4K, I don't know the difference anymore, right? I can't tell the difference between that. I just go, oh, that looks brighter. And we get to speed.
I think they've hit it out the park where it comes to convenience. And that's the thing. I think Alan was talking about that, the fact that the battery life is so key. The fact that you can carry something for so long and do stuff with it for so long makes it much more convenient to have that device with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to
that's
apply.
the real world benefit, because like you say, you don't need it quicker than fast enough, do you? That's why would you need it? Although having said that, IT's got this history, hasn't it, of software completely consuming the capabilities of hardware after a while. Programmers get simultaneously more ambitious and more lazy as well. Why bother optimizing when we got this super fast chip?
Yeah,
and sooner or later they slug it.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah. Or extra lanes of motorways, they soon fill up with cars.
Yeah. I was just counting back the last time I used Windows, and I really mean the very last time I ever booted up anything up into Windows was 8 years ago.
So, lucky man.
Yeah, God, all right, am I? I'm going to sleep easy tonight thinking about that.
Well, that's like the story I heard the other day. The last time you pick up your child, I was watching something, and it was a story about, we don't appreciate the moment. So there was a last time you picked up your child and held them. And you didn't know that was going to be the last time. It just was. And now it's lost in history. So that's your Windows moment there, Alan. The last time you used Windows.
That's right.
You didn't even know it.
Hasn't quite got the poignancy.
No, not quite. But it has for me, because I haven't got a child.
Well, when it comes to Windows, I think it has.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so Alan, you've been hatching a plan, I think.
Yeah, I've been thinking about these Apple One bundles a lot. I'm ever so tempted, even though when I do the maths, I shouldn't really be tempted, because I currently buy Apple Music's single user version just for myself, and I end up paying about £8.50 a month because of buying the annual plan and buying it on discounted iTunes vouchers and things like that. So, but let's call it nine quid a year, a month, and also the 2 terabyte storage, which is £7, isn't it? So that makes it 16 in total there. And I will buy Apple TV when the freebie runs out, because I quite like that now. So that's another £5. So what's that now? 21.
Yeah.
And yet I'm tempted by the £30 premium bundle, the top one, and I would get. I know I don't like play games really, but I might dabble every now and then. So arcade would be interesting. I'm pretty curious about Apple News, not for the news side, but for magazines. I wonder what it would be like to have a load of magazines on tap. Would I read them? Would I not? I don't know. Part of that bundle, I think I might be tempted. And then you got this fitness thing coming up. I own an Apple Watch. I own a telly. I own an Apple TV. So I don't have any motivation to exercise. That could be the flaw in my plan. But I quite fancy trying that Apple Fitness thing, whatever it's called. But I can't justify an extra 9 or 10 quid on the off chance that I might use those services. So I was thinking I've got to exploit the multi-user part of it, the family part of it.
Yes.
So in our house, there's only the two of us now. So I don't think my wife would use many of those services, other than she might be tempted by Apple Music if she could have her own library and all that, and not cross-contaminate with mine. But aside from that, not much. And then this plan I'm sort of hatching is, I've got my parents, and they're in their own family, their own Apple family. They both got Apple IDs. They share each other's purchases and things like that, and they've got their own family. They spend a little bit, the minimum amount, on extra storage. But I was thinking, what if I could get them to disband their family and join mine? So then we'd have 4 of us, and maybe even my sister as well, actually. So then there'd be 5 of us. Then, that £30 a month is looking very, very good value, very tempting. But I just can't get out the back of my mind this nagging problem that there'll be a gotcha somewhere, and Apple will say, no, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to join more than one family without a year passing in between, or some daft thing like that. Or I might set them all up with their Apple Music, and it wouldn't recognise their separate voices and accounts, and they'd all end up picking nonsense, rubbish music and pollute my library, which I wouldn't want. So I was after some advice, really.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in there, certainly on the music, because I'm currently paying for the family plan on Apple Music. So that's, I think, about $14.95 a month.
Yeah.
I actually upped it slightly because we used to have Spotify, but then Spotify was going up. So we went for the family plan, and Mrs. G uses it. 2 of my daughters and 1 of the partners uses it. So that's 5 of us on the family plan for the music. at $14.95, and there's no cross contamination so far at all.
Excellent.
So I've not come across any of that, and I've been
even for the ones in the same house that try to talk to the same HomePods and things like that.
Well, there's the downfall. There's where I've got to jump in and say I don't know, because at the moment I haven't got a HomePod, because I've set up my I've got lots of the Airport Expresses. I say lots. I've got a few Airport Expresses, and to each of them, there's three different ones in the house which have been set up so that they've got speakers connected to them. So you can easily just go in and pick it on the phone, and that's what everybody does. Or you can mix and match wherever you want it playing in the house. But one of my daughters is actually outside of the house. But the people that are in the house, we're not using Siri, so I don't know how good that is. But I mean, in the recent event that they did, they were quite confident that Siri would be. And that's okay. I can say Siri, can't I? That Siri would be able to distinguish between family members. So certainly there's no cross-contamination on the music choices. So that's good. Great. Because I've been hatching a similar plan, because I buy the 2 terabytes, but I've shared that out to the family as well, so they can all do their backups. Because certainly my girls said, I'm not paying for that, Dad. And I said, well, that's fine. I need a load for my photos. The amount that I need means I need the 2 terabytes. So then I've shared that again amongst 4 other people, and they're all doing their backups, their phone backups. And again, there's no problems there. And I've got a bit of a plan with going for the family plan, which then gives me the music. I'm likely to do what you're going to do with the TV Plus and buy that. Yeah. So that would be an extra $4.99. But I don't want to go to the $29.95. I'll actually save £3, and I'll save 3 pence by going the way of going the family plan and keeping my $6.99 to 2 terabyte plan.
Yeah,
and then I'll get an extra 200 gig with the family plan, which I've just learned I may well be able to share with, because I've got 2 iCloud accounts. I use an iCloud account which has got the hard drive, it's got the drive, it's got the iCloud 2 terabytes, but I've got another account which is what I deem to be my iTunes account, which has got the music and the arcade and the TV and the rest of it on it. So I can share one with the other, and then I've got 2.2 terabytes possibly. Yeah. I've got to test that one out. So I think we're both going to be doing quite a bit of testing on it. But I mean, if it doesn't work, you can cancel it after a month.
Yeah, but the key thing is about my parents. They're in their own Apple family.
Yeah,
and they would have to disband that. You can't merge families. I know that for a fact. Apple are explicit on that. But you can leave or disband a family at any time, so they could become sole free agents again.
Yeah.
But do you know of any rule? Does anyone know of any rule that says that they can't then immediately rejoin another family?
When you say they can't immediately join another family, because I share certainly my hard drive with the iCloud 2 terabytes with my father, and he's got his own iCloud account, but he's not signed up for anything else. The fact that you'd share it with someone who's disbanded from buying something, they can't control that. They have to take the good with the bad on that.
I think so, yeah. I think I might be just half remembering the old iTunes situation where if you registered a PC, one of the 5 PCs with your account, you weren't allowed to swap another one in for another 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
I might be just misremembering that.
I don't think.
That's a device limit, and you could actually opt in and out. So what used to happen was if you moved to a new Mac, for example, people would forget to sign out of their iTunes account on the old Mac before they got it away, and you'd end up using up your 5 over a period of time doing that. But you can, if you signed out of iTunes or music now, that does actually deregister it and puts that one back in the pool. What you might be remembering is you get a once every 12 months you can do a reset.
That's it, to delete them all off your account. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and you can't do a reset again for another 12 months.
Yeah, so it looks like I'm going to be safe then. I could confidently tell them, don't worry, dismantle your family, come and join mine, and then you'll get all these extra goodies when I'll pay for it every month. Yeah.
The only downside of that is maybe a precaution for anybody is you remember that you're sharing a credit card with everybody in that family group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can trust them, I think.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Can I join?
I draw the line somewhere.
I'll just buy a Final Cut Pro for £200. Here we go. Alan's paying for it. It's fine. So today, a report, technology companies like Apple are contributing to e-waste by making their products difficult to repair and charging expensive repair fees, according to a lengthy report published today by the UK Parliament's Environmental Audit Committee. They have said that we are told that Apple glues and solders parts together on their laptops, which makes repairing them very difficult, the committee wrote in a summary of the report. They also charge very high fees to repair their products. This trend, which goes against a long history of engineering in the UK, needs to stop. What?
I think Apple have kind of gone, we're a bit disappointed you think that.
They are. Their actual response was, we were surprised and disappointed. It's like being told off, isn't it? I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. We were surprised and disappointed with the Environmental Audit Committee's report, which does not reflect any of Apple's efforts to conserve resources and protect the planet we all share. There are more options for customers to trade in, recycle and get safe quality repairs than ever before, and our latest Apple Watch, iPad, iPhone lineup use all recycle. It's turned into an advert. Recycled material across key components. We will continue to work with Parliament and the government to document Apple's industry-leading commitments to support our common effort to leave a clean economy and a healthy planet for the next generation.
And do you know that what they're not taking into account there is the longevity of these products as well, Apple products, because our situation, Karl, is I put my phone down to someone else in the family. It goes down through three hands before it then becomes a device which needs getting rid of, and that's like over years and years. And actually, I then take it back to Apple to do, whatever they can responsibly deal with it, which they are doing. Do you remember the story of the dead man's iMac that I got? It's quite a long story. This is. I won't go into it now, but basically, I had a G5 iMac. I love that thing, and I wanted to try and refurb it into something else, but I just couldn't do it. And Mrs. G said, that is not sitting in this house any longer unless you're going to do something with it. And so I got in contact with Apple and I said, yep, we'll take it back off your hands and dispose of it responsibly. And that sort of thing just seems to have been missed in this report.
There's all kinds
that whole longevity piece is exactly what I was going to say as well, Gaz. Macs last so long these days. I had some dodgy geezer in my shop just today who's coming with their 8-year-old iMac.
Oi.
Thinking they only bought it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It was Karl.
Well, it was my stepdad, to be truthful. But
yeah. But no, it is, joking aside, these things do last so long. And I agree with the iPhone, passing it down through the family. And even when it gets to the last person, it's still got some resale value at the end of it. There's still people who are wanting to buy iPhone 5s, for goodness sake. And the environmental recycling is all part of it as well. Apple will, if even if they don't give you a discount on your next Mac, they'll always take your old Mac away and recycle it responsibly. So, it's I think... Part of this report is that Matt Hancock's still got the ump with Apple because they wouldn't open up their software for the contact tracing app.
The committee said the current business model for electronics is reliant on continuous consumption and throwaway culture and short-lived products, and it's called on technology companies to take the lead in creating sustainable and environmentally friendly business models that do not rely on the exploitation of nature. What are you talking about?
Well, can I just jump in and say, what am I doing with two Mac Minis from 2010 and 2011 at the moment? I'm not binning them. I'm reselling them, and I've already got bids on them. So people want them. I think there's a bit of lack of knowledge there. I do get why, because a lot of electronic components and products are like that.
Yeah, but not
but
from.
but not what? Sorry.
not from Apple. What I'm saying,
No,
is
I agree.
Amazon,
I agree.
like, they sell a ton of Chinese junk that if ever breaks, I don't send it back to China. It goes in the bin. I totally agree with that aspect of it. It's just, I don't know. Are these people? Well, I guess these people are putting Apple in the headline just like they always put Apple in the headline.
Yeah.
But to say they're reliant on continuous consumption and throwaway culture is short-lived. But that's capitalism. That's how it works.
There's got to be far more e-waste from kettles and toasters and things like that. I don't know if you've ever been to the what we call the dump, or they call the recycling centre.
The tip, you mean?
Lately, that's the one. Yeah. And if you look in the electronics one, it's full of toasters and kettles and all those sort of things that have gone wrong.
And large flat screens called tellies.
Yeah, all surrounded in plastic, and there's loads of metal bits and whatever in there that are never going to be properly separated. But that's just not the case with Apple gear.
Yeah.
Well, they've published their report, so you can go and read it if you want on House of Commons Committee website if you want a cure for insomnia, I guess. I don't know. I understand what they're doing. I just think like they're as usual. The government and stuff is out of touch with what's actually going on.
Yeah,
on
they've
the
shot
ground.
the arrow, but they've missed the centre.
Yeah. And it's I can understand, but like you say, we've all Steve said, like we took our 8-year-old iMac because it just stopped working today, but it's going in. It's worked flawlessly for 8 years, and it's going in. It's going to hopefully get repaired, and then it will come back and it will carry on working for God knows how long. Because they just carry on going. The first iMac I got, I gave to a friend, and as far as I know, it's still functioning. I don't know if he still uses it, but it's still there. I mean, what you gave me a white iMac, a white MacBook, Steve, which is still there. It's still working. It's not going in a landfill. It's still there as a piece of like art, as far as I'm concerned. Like I say, all my phones either get sold on to someone else or get passed down into the family. The watches, same thing. The iPad, same thing. All of it, and even when it breaks. It gets taken in. You have to swallow a cost. But if it's something wrong with the actual machine, Apple normally fixes it themselves. It's if you're clumsy and you break glass all the time, that's down to you. I don't want to live in a nanny state where, I don't want governments dictating how these things are put together and made, so we can have the ability to fix all this stuff and put all these things in and have 101 ports grandfathered in. But then we get such a big, ugly slab of plastic that no one wants to keep it anyway. Yeah, we go back to the beige PC box. Crazy. I don't know.
So I was just going to jump in and say actually the same thing. I've recently got a new iPad. And I got rid of a first-gen iPad Air. Well, I didn't get rid of it. I traded it in at Apple, and I'm getting, hopefully what they've said it's worth. That's got to be checked first. They're doing all this sort of stuff, and I think they've missed a trick there. But the reason I wanted to jump in there was I've just thought, I'd just track it just to see where it is so I could comment on it. Updates are coming to the Apple Store. Check back soon. Ooh.
What now? What now?
Live on the podcast. Ooh, yeah, I just tried to go on there and it said updates coming soon. Check back soon. More money.
I'm getting in there.
You can get in there.
Yeah, I'm in.
Perhaps it's the trade-in. Perhaps it's the trade-in one. Anyway, but the point is that Apple are really good at this process. So I think they've certainly, missed a trick there. A lot of people would be fed up with that because, you can't, brush the whole industry with the same paint.
And I was reading that someone commented, what about all the other phones and things that don't make it, all the early Samsungs that just sat on the shelf, all the folding phones that no one bought, and so all those materials were mined and used, and then what happened to them? Who knows? We don't know. I'm just using Samsung as an example. I don't mean anything by it, but it's just tons. And people don't tend to break their iPhone and then just throw it away and buy a new one. They tend to get it repaired. If I break my 50 quid Android device, it's going in the bin and I'm buying a new one because it's not worth fixing it. But that doesn't apply to Apple stuff because it's bloody expensive for starters. Initially. So unless you're like I don't know, a politician's son, you can just leave your laptops lying in repairs and
Leave
most
them
will
on the
say-
tube.
Yeah,
And Apple support the OS for about 5 years, or more,
Exactly.
don't they,
Yeah.
for these devices? Other manufacturers just don't do that. So even if the hardware is still perfect, they are
Crazy.
obsolete inside like 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
That's true wastage.
Yeah, because I was still getting updates. I think I was still getting updates on what's the one before Catalina? Sierra, High Sierra. I booted the Mac up and just did some checks on it, and I think it had an update coming through, and I thought, whoa! And that's I'm not sure how far back High Sierra is. Mojave, Catalina. I mean, it's 4 or 5 years old, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my
So-
MacBook Pro 2013, which I've now loaned to my stepdad, that's got Big Sur on it. It actually, that was still relevant. It's the last.
Yeah.
It was like the latest one I could put on there, but it still
Yeah.
works.
Well, the 2011 Mac Mini I had Catalina on it. I mean, you wouldn't get that in Windows World.
Ah, right. Okay. Apple. Steve has just shared a link, and it does say we'll be right back.
Yeah, it's the store part of Apple.com. So the store is down right now.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. We shall see. We
Are
shall
we
see.
finally going to get these little tracker things?
Yeah, that'll be the thing. Right. Let's quickly just do a rumor. Oh, sorry. It really was quick. I thought I'd pressed the wrong one. And this one is from our favourite analyst.
Ming Chi Kuo, rumor. Ming Chi Kuo, rumor.
There we go. So he's actually said, I've lost the damn link now. I've clicked on the wrong one. So according to the fantastic analyst Ming Chi Kuo, is next year Apple are going to produce some more M1 computers. Fantastic. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. I want this job. This job seems to be the easiest, cushiest job in the world. Apparently, they're going to release a redesigned 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro models next year, and a 24-inch iMac, and possibly a smaller version of the Mac Pro Tower, all with M1 chips inside.
I think to not to kind of backing up, it's an easy win to say that now because the current M1s are going so well. People are going to be scratching at the door for them to produce these now. And I think they're going to have to do it. And they're probably going to have to do it quicker than they thought, because I think a lot of sales on the Intel stuff is going to be dropping off like a stone, precisely because the M1s are so good.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. If people are not relying on, Intel software that will not run for whatever reason on a Mac, it's...
I mean, the main point of what he's saying here is that these are going to be redesigned ones, like new form factors. That's the news.
Okay.
So,
okay.
of course
he's been saying that for years, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I think you can imagine this has been Apple's game plan, can't you? We'll release the first range of M1 Macs in identical cases, and everyone will pile in and buy them, and then a year later we'll come out with a new industrial design, and everyone will buy them as well. It's like a perfect marketing strategy.
True.
But I mean, I think if this rumor's right, these will coexist with the current machines, because he's talking about a MacBook Pro 14-inch rather than 13 and 16-inch. But I wonder what the new form factor will be.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think one thing I reckon I would put a bet on is that the screens will have curved corners, which I must admit I don't like, but I bet they will, because everything's got curved corners now, isn't it? Or everything's a rounded rect now. So you lose those few pixels in the corner, but you get a lovely rounded shape.
Yeah, but some of the new Dell laptops are looking quite sleek and thin, aren't they? I think they're. Is it me, or are MacBooks starting to look a little bit dated?
Well, not this new lovely one that I just bought the other day. It still looks amazing. I gotta say, apparently it's just a teaser. The reason the Apple Store is down in the UK right now is it's just a teaser for Apple's 4-day shopping event, free gift card with select products and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, they're so generous, aren't they?
The 5p off this video.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even bother waiting around.
Getting rid of all our old stock sales, as I call it.
Yeah.
It's not getting rid of it, Steve. They're recycling it to the customer with an exorbitant price.
Yeah.
Right, well, we've had a review this week, so thank you very much for sending us a review. If you'd like to send us a review, please just seek out the podcast app, seek out Mac and Forth, give some stars, write a review, just like Mal Cramner has. And he says, my favourite Apple podcast. Sorry about that, guy. Gaz, sorry.
No, blame Guy.
Oh, right,
it's
okay,
fine.
yes.
I don't have a problem. It's Guy's fault.
And he gives us 5 stars as well. A great listen with a generally likeable, thoughtful, and engaging panel discussing the latest news, products, and rumours. One of the podcasts I look forward to coming out each week. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I've ruined that this week for him, haven't I? But I won't be on next week, so you get back to the normal excellence.
So
if we get a whole load of 1-star reviews this week, guys, you'll be in trouble.
No one do it. I've not had one.
Go on, do it,
star.
folks. Do it. Do it. Just to upset him.
So thank you very much for that, Mal Cranmer. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Another way, of course, you can support us is our Patreon page. Link is in the show description. Any funds you want to send our way just to help pay for all the various services we've got running in the background, and my MacBook fetish as well, would be greatly appreciated. Every little helps, as someone says somewhere. I can't remember. And that's pretty much it, I think, from us this week. Just one quick thing. If you're an American listener, happy Thanksgiving for everyone over there. I know it's happening right now as we record this, and there's probably only a few hours left, but enjoy yourselves as best you can this weird Thanksgiving holiday.
Hope you're enjoying your turkeys.
Yes, even though they don't probably enjoy it much, but So thanks for coming to join us today, Gaz.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, enjoy it. I always enjoy talking to other Englishmen. Guy.
Well, it's the only time you can hear common sense, I suppose, isn't it? Really? But,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'm going to get so in trouble for that now.
he never listens anyway. Don't worry about it. So where on earth can we get hold of you, sir?
Dead easy on the Twitters, twitter.com/GazMaz, GAZMAZ. You can also contact me by email. That's gaz@mymac.com, gaz@mymac.com. And you can listen to the ramblings of 2 complete idiots on a weekly basis at the MyMac podcast with the G-Men, Guy and Gaz. I did quite well there off the cuff.
You did.
Didn't I? I'm quite impressed with myself.
And this week we'll find out what Guy thinks of his new Mac Mini.
Yes, and more to the point, I will find out what he thinks about it.
Exactly. Well, which will tempt you to go and buy one, I bet you.
You might be right. I might just go, click it. I'll get the rest later.
Oh, dear. Right, well, that's pretty much it from us this week. So we'll be back again next week when hopefully Dean will join us as well. And so until then, everybody out there, please, as always, just stay safe and be nice to each other. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.